Or do I find it in this crazy old world? I need strategies, strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio. Every time I listen, Lauren and David share strategies for living, and it makes me aware. I've got strategies for living, strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio. Your dose of radio rehab. Strategies for living radio.
Oh, you know, we need them. Yeah, we need them. We need them every day, too. Need those strategies for living. So, are you ready? Are you ready for your daily dose of radio rehab?
I am ready.
I'm glad you're ready today. That is among the questions. Hey, folks, welcome into another edition of Strategies for Living. I'm Dr. David McMillian. She is psychotherapist, LPC Lauren Leon McMillian. And I got a question for you, Lauren.
All right.
The question is, suppose we've been asking the wrong questions.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the way through life is to ask the right, well, not the right questions, but the appropriate questions that continue to lead you perhaps to more questions.
You know, you can look at a lot of different surveys. There's a growing number of Americans who are just walking away from the organized churches, the traditional religions, if you will, and yet they also continue searching for purpose and truth and meaning. And our life strategist today, his name is Gary B. Meisner, and he believes the problem may not be in any lack of interest in God, but the questions we're asking about God in the first place.
Yeah.
So he spent more than 20 years as a skeptical, materialist, agnostic, and then something happened. We'll talk to him about what that something was. Something happened.
All right.
And, you know, he has written a wonderful book. We're going to talk about it today. It's called Life Through a New Lens. And it's a beautifully written, well-written book. Life Through a New Lens, finding God where reason and faith meet. And so I think we've got a lot to talk about today.
Sounds like it.
Yeah,
I think we can all relate to that balance.
Gary Meisner is our life strategist, and we're certainly going to keep him busy today. Folks, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. The Strategies, we appreciate you, and we appreciate our sponsors who make it all possible. The Robinson Film Center, Azalea Cleaners, Pintail Roofing, the Balanced Life Wellness Center, Fertitta's Delicatessen, home of the Muffies, SRT Sales Training, Uprising Addiction Center, and Mira Direct Primary Care. Life Through a New Lens today on Strategies for Living. Come back with us.
Tune in daily, find the light. Healthy mind and spirits bright. Strategies for living strong. Feel the vibe, it won't go wrong. Body moves and soul align. Catch the rhythm, feel the time. Radio rehab every day. Chase those clouds of gray away. Your daily dose of radio rehab. Lift you up when skies seem trapped. Mind and body, spirits free. Living life in harmony.
Welcome into Strategies for Living. Lauren Leon McMillian, David McMillian. Let's welcome into the program now Gary Meisner, who is a best-selling author, former CFO and CIO, and innovator whose journey from agnosticism to faith inspires his writing. He's got a background in finance, technology, and software development. brings analytical thinking and real-world experience to life's biggest questions. His 2018 book, The Golden Ratio, The Divine Beauty of Mathematics, has been translated into 9 languages and remains a bestseller in its category. And Gary has a new book out, which attracted Lauren and my attention. It's called Life Through a New Lens, Finding God Where Reason and Faith Meet. Gary, welcome.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Lauren. And thank you for the opportunity to be here with you.
Absolutely. So you were moving along with life, skeptical and agnostic, and I presume happy for a lot of years. So what happened, Gary?
Well, I can take you through a little story of kind of the before and after, if you'd like.
Yeah,
I'd like to start there.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you just quick background of my life and kind of quickly get to what was that point that flipped things for me. So I just want to, as a background, I mean, the family I grew up in was not religious. I don't remember a Bible, a prayer. We went to church occasionally. I was, passionate about science and math. I founded my astronomy club in high school, basically got to a point where I wanted nothing to do with anything spiritual, and became not just an agnostic or skeptic, but pretty cynical, agnostic. In my dating days, if a woman even used one of those code words like Bible or saved or mass or parish, I kind of ran in the other direction.
Right.
When I got married, and I'm not proud to admit this, but when we got married, I had the pastor remove all references to Jesus and God from our wedding service. And I can't believe he did that, but he did.
Okay.
And again, not proud of that, but just want to paint a picture.
Yeah.
But years, so I mean, I just really wanted nothing to do with anything spiritual. Years later, I was married, had a couple of kids, had a job relocation that took us from Chicago to Nashville. And my first kind of thought was, geez, I wonder what it would be like to live in the Bible Belt. But one of the things I did like was that Nashville was Music City, and one of my other passions was music.
Sure.
So when I got to Nashville, met my insurance agent. Turned out she was a singer-songwriter who had come there, and she gave me a demo cassette. Took it with me, played it in my car, and there was one lyric that just stuck with me. And it was a song about broken relationships, and the lyric was, "What other love song could I write when my God was my friend for life?" And that concept was just very foreign to me, and it was kind of hard to unhear it.
Yeah.
And so I kind of listened to that, over and over, but that wasn't like a big conversion right there. A few weeks later, we got invited by our new neighbors to go to their Easter service, and got to find out what life in the Bible Belt was like, and came out of that service, got in the car, and I turned to my wife and I said, if you ever want to go to that church again, it will be without me. So you can kind of see where I was. And again, I say none of this with pride, but just to share where I was.
Yeah.
But 5 weeks after that, my wife had taken the kids, went back to Chicago, probably to get away from me as much as to visit family. And we were going through a period of relocation, job stress, life stress, etc.
Sure.
So I was sitting there on that Sunday morning, and I just, this was highly unusual, but I just felt like, okay, I'm supposed to go to church. I didn't know why, but I thought, okay, I just feel like I have to go. So I drove to this church, and as I get out of my car, I realized that my insurance agent has pulled up right at the same church in the parking lot right next to me. And we kind of see each other, and it's kind of like, well, this is strange. This is kind of not just strange, a little awkward. We walk in together and get seated, and the service starts, and she's sitting there singing songs with her beautiful, singer-songwriter voice, singing from these songs from memory. And I'm just kind of feeling like a fish out of water, kind of fumbling through the bulletin and the hymnal, trying to find my way to pages with words to songs that I didn't know.
Right.
And just feeling very awkward there. And moments later in the service, I see a plate being passed, and it's like, okay, I've been in church before. I can handle this. I can do something right. So I start to fish a few bills out of my wallet, and the plate gets to me, and it's not an offering plate; it's a communion plate. And it's kind of like, oh God, I'm just not. So there was a moment as that service progressed where I just felt this presence, like literally just a presence like I'd known before, a presence of God. And I also felt just this gap, this distance, this void. So I mean, it was just this awareness that there's a God, and I am so far from him that I It's like I'm so lost that I don't even know that I'm lost, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And so we finish the service, and we go outside, and I kind of say, well, I've never really read the Bible, don't know much about it, and she handed me hers, and there was just something about that. It just felt like, a precious treasure. And I literally felt the need to have to go up a mountain. I didn't know what a mountaintop experience was, but I took it home, went out, found a quiet place in the park, and I'm sitting there with this Bible, and it's like, okay, well, where do I start with this?
Yeah.
And I'm remembering some things back from my childhood. I did have a little bit of churching, and I remember, well, there's something called the Beatitudes. And I look it up in the index, and it's, well, it's Matthew chapter 5. And I remember, there's something called the Sermon on the Mount.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Matthew chapter 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then I looked up the one that was haunting me, divorce, back in the index, and Matthew chapter 5. So I'm kind of, well, if there's a sign, this must be it. So I turn and I start reading, the Sermon on the Mount, and I get to the words on anger and adultery and things like where Jesus says, I tell you, if you've even looked at another woman lustfully, you've committed adultery in your heart.
Right.
And there was just something in that just pierced me. It's like, I was, a CFO, a controller, a CPA. I mean, my conversion story is not one of, I was about, die from addiction or anything like that. I thought I was a pretty good guy by anybody's standards.
Yeah.
But as I read the words in the Sermon on the Mount, it just kind of slayed me and made me realize there was such a higher standard for living than I had ever even imagined.
Mm-hmm.
And it just felt like God was speaking to me through the words, and like there was somebody who knew me better than I knew myself.
Yeah.
So that day it just like shook my foundations. It was convicting, but at the same time, it gave me a sense of peace and a sense of guidance, and also just a thirst to know, like, well, what else is in this book that I've been dismissing all of my life?
Yeah.
So that just lit me up into a journey that has, gone on for years since. And when it first happened, it's like, this was just me by myself with a book. I wasn't part of any church or anything else. It was just me, myself, and reading. So I just read through the whole Bible in the next year, but I also started reading about all the things that I had understood about science and evolution and creation. I started reading scriptures of other religions, philosophy. So I just had this thirst to just know, what is it that I've been missing, and what can I learn about this God that I think now is real.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what set this off. It's kind of a little bit of music, a little bit of I think some people call it a divine appointment. Where you kind of like you feel like there's a moment that's been scripted for your life, and you're handed the script, and it's like, okay, Gary, this is your part. Read here.
Yeah. What's coming to my mind at the moment is the old saying, when the student is ready.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So.
Did you?
Lots of experiences and learning since then. But go ahead.
Did you share? Did you share right away when your wife and kids got back? Did you share what had happened, or did you take a while?
No, it took a while because, frankly, I didn't know what had happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't schooled, church educated. Where it wasn't like I could. Immediately like, oh, this is what happened. I've seen this before. I didn't hang around with people. And that was one of the amazing things, is over the months and years that followed, I realized that what I was experiencing was, in the Bible, and other people talked freely about it, and, the ways God had impacted their life. So I was experiencing these things firsthand, but it was extra evidence to me that what I was experiencing wasn't in my head or imagined, because it was there in the Bible, it was there in other people's lives, and so there are just more and more of those types of experiences over the past 30 years
You bring up a good point, Gary. I think so many times people miss what they're not looking for. Like, where do you think people maybe are most likely to encounter God, or whatever it is that you call God to be, but fail to recognize it?
I guess there's probably, I think I see us now as spiritual beings, right? So, I mean, I think there's a lot of things in life where it could be, a sunset, it could be a song, it could be a moment looking at. I remember before this all happened, when my first daughter was born. I mean, I had no spiritual background, but I held her in my arms, and all of a sudden the term making love took on a whole new dimension. It's like there she was in my arms, and we had literally created love. So I mean, I think there's moments in life where there's that kind of like, the light goes on, and there's something here beyond just, the physical, the material. And so again, that for a lot of people, that can be in so many different aspects of life. But and even for me, that was, I guess, 5 years or more before this other experience happened. So it kind of like the candle was lit, and it was kind of blown out before I gave it a chance to get to the wick to the wax. But I think there's lots of things that we experience that give us those glimmers and that moment of awe, of wonder, etc. And it's hard to say, like you say to me, when the student is ready. I think there's a time when we are. When it clicks.
Yeah.
When it clicks.
We're talking to Gary Meisner today. His new book is Life Through a New Lens, Finding God Where Reason and Faith Meet. As you can already tell, there's lots to talk about today. So stay with us. We've got much more from Gary B. Meisner, our life strategist today, here on Strategies for Living. Stay right where you are.
Facing the same old problems day to day makes you wanna holler, get away. Looking for the road that'll get me there, looking for hope and peace to spare. Looking for strategies for living radio.
Well, if you're looking for strategies, here we are. Strategies for Living. Welcome back in. Lauren McMillian.
Thank you.
David McMillian. Gary Meisner, the author of Life Through a New Lens, and wonderful book. There's also a discussion guide. Man, this is good stuff. So it's available.
Thank you.
It is good, Gary.
I love that you include. Well, it's not included, but I love that you've also created this discussion guide, because it's topics like these that we need to really wrestle with and discuss within ourselves, rather than just kind of take it in, right?
Yeah, I think the world is ready for a lot more open discussion. Get away from polarized sides and start to talk about real issues. And my book and my discussion encourages some of that.
Here's the deal, Gary. Are we ready for aliens? Can you see the alien?
Can you? You've read my book, I can tell.
Yeah.
You want me to comment on that?
Because early in the book, there's a chapter. Can you see the alien?
There is. Yeah. Well, it's not as far out as it may sound from the title, but in writing the book, just to back up a step, I wrote it for basically like for the person I was, years ago. Like what could I say to myself that might have, opened the lens for me, made a difference.
Yeah.
And so. And I wrote it from the idea of a journey, because like if you went on a great vacation, you would come back with photos and stories and everything. Hey, let me show you where I've been, right? And the thought that hit me early after this is like, wow, I've been on a journey. How do I come back from this? And over the years that followed, I found like just different images. Like I'd see something in a magazine or wherever it might be, and it's like, oh yeah, that really captures what I felt here or what I learned here or whatever. So my book is basically set up kind of like a travel log with an image, a photo for every chapter that relates some idea of something that I learned, experienced, a perspective gained, or whatever. So the section 1 is called the reality filter, and the book is done in kind of a photography travelogue motif. So section 1 is the reality filter, and the second chapter in that book is called "Can You See the Alien?" And it's a story that relates back to not long after I had this experience when the Magic Eye 3D posters were kind of all the rage.
Yeah.
And so I was at a mall, and a bunch of people grouped around this wall of posters, and some kind of gasps, and some people are saying, "Oh, look at that! I see it! I see it!" And others are shaking their heads, and some are walking away. And so, "Can You See the Alien?" refers to when you get in front of that that Magic Eye 3D poster, the one with the alien. And when you see it just with the right perspective, with the right focus, all of a sudden what was just, kind of random colors, a being comes out of it, a new three-dimensional part of that poster that you never saw before, never imagined was there. So I use that as an example of kind of what it was like for me to be living in my three-dimensional agnostic world, and all of a sudden I discovered there's another dimension to the world that I'd never seen, and all it required was a kind of a shift in focus or perspective.
Yeah. I was thinking about something that you said last segment about us being spiritual beings. So many of us think of ourselves as physical beings who have spiritual experiences, and yet, and I think, to me, as I have studied what Jesus came and was trying to teach 2,000 years ago, and possibly he's still trying to teach it today, it's that shift in focus that you're talking about. I mean, the early church wasn't a church, really. It was called the Way.
Yeah.
And they would gather until they got thrown out of synagogue. They would gather in the synagogues, of their communities, and what later became a quote unquote church, then later became many, 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 many churches. And I guess that's just human ego,
Sure.
Mine's better than yours.
Exactly. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. But, it sounds like that you circumvented all of the, well, you got to believe this way or that way. And I'd say you're blessed and lucky, that it happened the way that it happened for you.
I do feel that was a blessing, because it was a very one-on-one thing, just me reading the words of Jesus in the Bible and then continuing on in my own study next year. And I did start to go to a church, then. So, I do have some traditional, experiences in the church, but I guess the pursuit that I went on, where I was reading, the scriptures of other religions, etc. Even just within the Christian faith, there's a wide range. To me, the Catholic tradition does a much better job of kind of the transcendent part of God, whereas the more fundamental evangelical, do a better job of kind of relating to, Jesus as, as Lord or as teacher, etc. And then there's, the charismatics, kind of relate better to the, the Holy Spirit side of the Christian faith. So, and to me, religion became kind of a little bit like you've heard of the parable of the, I think it's 6 blind men and the elephant, that one, right?
Yeah.
Where,
sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll share it briefly in case the listeners don't know it, but it's, 6 blindfolded men around an elephant, and one's holding the trunk saying, well, an elephant is like a snake. And the guy at the tail says, no, it's like a rope. And the guy at the middle says, no, it's like a tree. And so there is this one aspect to religion that, we're human. God is beyond our comprehension. So it's hard to, completely grasp. But I think if you open yourself up to kind of grasping different views and beliefs, you get a bigger picture, a broader perspective than if you just laser focused on one aspect. But then I would counter myself in saying that, but at the end of the day, it's an elephant, so we can't have a dozen different truths, and they can't all be truth, So I think that's a journey for each of us that I've found what I believe is the bigger picture of the elephant through Jesus and the Christian tradition.
Yeah.
But I'm very open to just discussions about, well, what about this? Why do people believe that, et cetera?
Right.
I actually started my career, my education in science as well, Gary, and there's that famous Heisenberg quote. It goes something like, when you sip from the first glass, when you take the first sip from the glass of the natural sciences, it makes you an atheist. But at the bottom of the glass, God is waiting for you.
I've seen that quote.
And that's something that I've related to in my journey. Is that something that you found kind of as well as you began to dive into this and kind of trying to match up the reason with the faith that you found?
Yeah, very much. And I'm like a really deep person, and I'm the type that, that like I built my own telescope, and I I wrote my own software and stuff. So I'm somebody who likes to go into things deeply, and that same pattern came out with my my spiritual journey. And so you mentioned early in the interview that like I have a book on the golden ratio in 9 languages.
Yes.
And that was an outgrowth of this journey, because one of the first things I did was to start reading scripture and trying to understand what was there that I didn't dismiss before, but I also examined the foundations of everything that I believed about science, and was frankly kind of stunned at some of the lack of true logic and support behind some of the things that I believed. And as I was going down that path, I became fascinated with design in nature. And so some of that is, design just in the complexity of the cell and things that just, or DNA, things that look beyond what any natural process could possibly do. But I also, came across, the design mathematically of proportions, most notably in the human form. And quick story, I was on a business trip, and I flying back, and I picked up the magazine from the back of the seat in front of me, and it was a woman who is now a famous journalist who I'd gone to high school with. And she was always a very pretty woman, even in her high school days. And this is when this kind of journey of discovery was going on. I got home, and I put her picture, scanned it in, and I started measuring pixel by pixel and doing calculations with my calculator. It's like, well, how is her face proportioned? And I kept on finding this golden ratio coming over and over again. So I started a website on the golden ratio, just because this was when I was a techie, so I had to learn how to do websites in HTML, and I picked the golden ratio as my topic. And to my surprise and delight, I started getting hits from all over the world. Literally, I was getting 1 million hits a year back in the early 2000s. And so the website took on a life of its own, where I was kind of like a community of people sharing and discovering about the golden ratio. And in 2017, a traditional publisher called me and said, "Hey, we want to do a book on the golden ratio. How would you like to be the author?" So that's how that came about.
Wow.
Let
me share real quickly, since you've mentioned it. It's the website that has attracted over 1 million visitors a year is goldennumber.net. Goldennumber.net. So we'll give another website for this new book, but folks that are listening may be interested in your first work, so they can find it at goldennumber.net. Sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to interject.
No, I appreciate that. And one of the things that has made the book popular is that and the website is that I really try to make things accessible to the non-mathematical person. And so most books on this topic are by PhDs in math and lots of formulas and black and white. And my book has over 250 color illustrations of everything from paintings by Leonardo to the human face to actually the Starship Enterprise automobiles. I mean, I show how the golden ratio appears in design and life and the arts. And so that's making it accessible is what's made it as popular as it is.
I love it.
And I've tried to take the same visual approach with the new book, Life Through a New Lens. And again, just kind of this travelogue approach where there's here's a photo and here's a story, and each story is like maybe 3 pages long. But in each one, I'm expressing a core concept, a core learning, a core perspective that I hope will help people make the same kind of journey that I did from I don't see anything. I don't see any aliens. I don't see anything beyond the 3D.
I don't think there's any doubt that this book will help people. It's called Life Through a New Lens, Finding God Where Reason and Faith Meet. Gary B. Meisner, our life strategist today here on Strategies for Living. And we've got more, so come back with us. More strategies to come.
We all have problems every day. We all need help along the way. We need strategies, strategies, strategies for living radio.
Welcome back into Strategies for Living. Leon McMillian, David McMillian. You know, Lauren, we do a lot of interviews.
We do
on strategies. You can tell the real deal.
Oh yeah.
And we've got the real deal today. Gary B. Meisner, his book is Life Through a New Lens, Finding God Where Reason and Faith Meet. And you may want to check out OpenTheLens.com. You know, and I say the real deal because, and this is a beautiful book. I mean, there's a lot that's gone into producing this book. You can tell.
Well, and I think there's a lot of seeking right now, and I love how Gary brings us along his journey to help us say,
Absolutely.
Okay, it's okay, not only okay, but good for us all to wrestle with this. And
Absolutely.
to have our own journey.
But I think what is especially, and Gary's listening, but I'm going to brag on him a little bit.
I don't think he'll mind.
No, I don't think he will.
I'll be quiet.
Okay. Well, you know, I just find it very refreshing that you write a book and that you want to share it. And yeah, you know, this is a beautiful book and I hope people will buy it because it really is beautiful. But you want the message that you've got here spread. Mm-hmm. And so on OpenTheLens.com, you can go and read this for free. I mean, you know, you can start reading it. I did that after you and I talked. And, you know, and thankfully I got the book a few days later, but it was nice to dive in and start. And I think, you know, it'll be fine, you know, because I think once people start reading, they're going to want a copy of Life Through a New Lens. And I hope they'll, again, it's, did you do the photography in here?
I had a little help from a friend, and one of my new AI friends.
Gotcha.
Okay. Good.
So I had to work very hard at a lot of prompting and a little bit of digital editing here and there. But I mean, yeah, all the photos I created, with some help and with some of my own digital editing skills.
Yeah. Well, you did a great job.
But thank you. But the key is that they captured the original concepts that I had. As to the photographs that I saw, years ago. That's like, oh yeah, that really captures what I was thinking or what I experienced, etc.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you've got a chapter, and it's towards the end of the book, but the chapter's titled "Let's Get Small."
Okay.
And that's so counter to the way we think in the world. I want to be big.
Yeah.
I want to be massive. But this chapter's titled "Let's Get Small" and subtitled "Only When Small Can We See His Greatness."
Yep.
Dive into that a little bit for us, Gary.
Yeah. Well, the little funny part of that story is Let's Get Small is actually the name of a Steve Martin routine. And I was a big Steve Martin fan back in the day. So if you saw the original version of this story, it actually had a Steve Martin in his Let's Get Small pose. But for copyright reasons, I had to kind of change it up. So I used a man with a yardstick about as tall as he is. And that's me, or some likeness of me. And then there's this big Jesus with a big yardstick, behind, kind of coaching along, like, hey, I know you think you're measuring up here, but I've got a bigger stick for you. And so that was the routine. Let's Get Small was kind of the inspiration for this, but the idea that that if we're filled with ourselves, if we're filled with pride, if we think that we're the best thing that the world has ever had to offer, either individually or as a species or whatever, it kind of puts a cap on what we can see. We measure things against human standards, against our own standards. Yeah. And in my own life, like the experience I related when I first read those words in the Sermon on the Mount, all of a sudden my little stick that I was measuring myself by seemed so pathetic and inadequate when I saw this other higher, potential for human thought, human behavior, what's written on your heart, and not just, what you do in your outward actions. So that's kind of the message behind this story. Let's Get Small, is that we can't really see what our potential is, what the divine hope or goal is, unless we kind of have that, humility, that humbleness in ourselves to get small first.
Yeah. From the moment you're sitting there, your wife and children are out of town, and you get this weird message, internal message, go to church, drive to church this morning. And from the perspective of where you've come from there to now, looking back, what stands out for you?
Wow, what stands out? I mean, it's just, my life is just so different than I ever imagined it would be, and it's just been so transformational, just in terms of how I see life, myself, love, other people, God, creation. I mean, it's just there's a story of I was blind, but now I see. I mean, I would say that applied to me. It's just been totally transformational, and it's just opened up, journeys in my life that I never would have imagined. I mean, I never would have imagined I'd be a writer of a book on the golden ratio that's in 9 languages. And if you talked to me 40 years ago, the idea that I have this book that I just wrote about, my intimate experiences with God and spirituality, I mean, that would have been beyond my. I would have said you got the wrong Gary Meisner, but it's just been such a wonderful, fulfilling part of my life to have, been blessed with this experience and to pursue it. You do have to pursue it. And so there's been a lot of time in reading and prayer and being open to being led and hearing the voice, etc.
For listeners who are tuning in and maybe a little skeptical, but open, where would you tell them to begin?
Section 1, chapter 1.
That's a good
I love it. Begin at the beginning.
Yeah. No, hey, that was a unashamed plug. No, but really, I wrote the book to meet that person where they are. I mean, my first chapter is actually my real response would be, get down on your knees and just say, God, if you're there, let me know you. That's my real answer. I mean, if there's a God there and he responds to you, he'll direct you on your own path. He'll give you your experiences that are as unique to you as mine were to me. So I mean, really, and I make that point in my book. I mean, you can, if you're a skeptic, you could spend the next 10 years reading all the different apologetics for, pro, con, against. One moment, and this is, I think, a quote from my book, one moment of experience can overwrite a lifetime of opinion. So
I think that's wonderful.
So if I had one thing, I would say, just get down on your knees and just say, God, if you're there, I want to know you. Help me, show me,
invite,
whatever way you want me
invitation.
to see you.
And
open the door, open the heart, open the mind.
And this book is an invitation of its own. It's called Life Through a New Lens, and Gary Meisner is the author. You can go to openthelens.com, actually read the book for free, but I hope you'll get a copy of the book, Life Through a New Lens. Gary Meisner. We'll be back to wrap up here our conversation on strategies for living in just a moment. Welcome back into Strategies for Living. Lauren, Leon McMillian, David McMillian, with Gary B. Meisner, author of Life Through a New Lens. And you can find that at openthelens.com. You can order the book wherever you get books, and I hope you will. Gary, we've covered a lot of territory here today on strategy. We've worked you're a hard-working life strategist. What do you want people what do you want people to remember from our conversation today?
Well, the thing I really want people to take away is that in my experience, my life, and everything I've come to know, I believe there is a God who created us, who loves us, who wants a relationship with us. That's why on the back of my book, I have the question, what if the God that you've doubted is real and wants to be known? So I want people to know that if God can, if a guy like me can find his way to God, there's got to be a God there who's working in our lives, who wants you to know him and wants to have a relationship with you. So I would just encourage everybody, again, whether that's a moment of prayer or pick up the Bible and let be led to something to read. But it's just a wonderful opportunity in life to see life in a way that you've never seen it before. I guess I should close it. It would be life through a new lens, right?
Yeah, there you go. Gary, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your work.
And thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you for sharing and being a great life strategist here on Strategies for Living.
And thank you so much for the opportunity, David and Lauren.
OpenTheLens.com. That's where you'll find Life Through a New Lens. Gary Meisner. Get a copy of the book. Folks, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you being a part of Strategies. And we appreciate our sponsors who make it all possible. The Robinson Film Center and Azalea Cleaners and Pintail Roofing and the Balanced Life Wellness Center. Fertitas Delicatessen, home of the Buffy. SRT Sales Training. Uprising Addiction Center. And Mira Direct Primary Care. If today were the last day of your life, you only had one more phone call that you could make, who would you call? And what would you say? And why are you waiting? Make the call. For Gary Meisner, for Lauren McMillian, I'm David McMillian. See you next time right here on Strategies for Living.